Hi everyone, this is Abel. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. And sorry for being missing in action for so long, but I had a ton of issues with my desktop PC. The camera didn't work, the microphone didn't work, the whole setup looked like it was laughing at me despite my best effort to make it work. But I'm back and I have a ton of really cool and interesting and exciting books we need to talk about. It's going to be great. Let's get ready. But before we start, remember that if you enjoy science fiction and fantasy books, this is the perfect place for you. So if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing, leave a like, share this video. You can also decide to support the channel by checking out my own epic fantasy novel, The Crimson Fire. The link is in the description down below. Let's start with a surprise, with something that happens not quite often in my life and in this channel, when I find something that is pretty huge but that I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know the author, I didn't know anything about the books. This is a pretty huge epic fantasy saga. It's the Bladeborn saga by TCH. And I found this on Instagram of all places. And it looks big, it looks interesting, it looks epic. We have dragons of the covers, of course, and really cool guys and knights and swords and all the beautiful illustration of the covers. So let's give a look, an overall look at the covers, and then let's try to see the description of all the first books so that we try to avoid any spoilers. So we have a graphic here, a fancy graphic here, with 7 books out, and I'm not sure if the series is complete. I'll have to ask to the author directly. So the first book is The Song of the First Blade. Then we have Ghost of the Shadow Fort. Then we have An Echo of Titans. Then The Winds of War, The Fetters of Fate, The Shadow of Dread, and Of Ancient Unbound. And I think that the last one, the Of Ancients Unbound, has been published pretty recently, so it's fresh. So let's see what the first book is about. We have 2 points of views, and I'm not sure if these are the only point of view that we have. More likely we'll have more of those, because, you know, epic fantasy series, they tend to be big, they tend to be really ambitious, they tend to have a big world building, many cities, many places to explore, and many, as I said, point of views. So we have, the first one is Vandar, that says, no, the place, the setting, the main place here is Vandar. And we have Ilion, I think, who is a gifted Bladeborn. And I think this is kind of a group of skilled warriors, I think. He fights for his family's survival. And then we have another one. She's Tukor. She's a Tukor or Takor. She's a servant girl with a mysterious past, and she's on the run. And both of them, they have to fight and survive, because from the Shadow Fort, which I guess is the place when the evil things, the evil stuff in the world come from, there is a secret power that it's been unleashed on the land. And the ending of the description says that we'll follow this epic tale as the battle for power, land, and the divine gift of the fallen gods determine who lives and dies and who possesses ultimate control. So, the description is pretty lean, short and sweet. It gives you just the bare minimum to understand what kind of story we're setting in. But I have to say that the covers, they're doing the heavy lifting, because that's what I found so incredibly compelling. And it doesn't hurt that the books are chunkers. If you go and follow the Instagram account for this author, you'll see that these are beasts, from a minimum of 700 pages to more, and I think around 800. So these are pretty hefty, pretty demanding reads, I think, because of the length. But I'm really curious. I want to see what the actual story is about, how the world building is explored, how the characters and themes and everything else is interwoven in and enclosed and delivered with a nice bow. Okay, so I'll absolutely give it a try, at least to the first book, to see if it is something that I'm willing to be committed with, because 7 books and maybe more, that's a bit of a commitment. But it's the kind of commitment that makes me anxious in a good way, you know? Really eager to see, really eager to experiment. And hopefully, if you have read it, you can tell me your opinion about it. If you know anything about this series, let me know. And if you want to read it with me, and if you want to do a buddy read, let me know too. I'm here for you. Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as I finish reading it. Okay, something that really captured my attention because of the beautiful new cover. I had seen the original one, it's so cool, but this one is chef kiss, so effective. And because of the weird and really exciting genre blend that we have here, because it is post-apocalyptic, but it is also dystopian, but it also has a setting that has something of really ancient, really ancient history, prehistorical settings, vibes, and this is the August of the People by V.F. Aubrey. It has a really cool and pretty in-depth description, which is pretty complex, okay, and you have to kind of break it down to get to the gist of the story. But in this really distant future, something happens, and a group of elite people, they left Earth, okay? Who are these elite? Why did they decide to leave Earth? We don't know. Hopefully we'll discover by reading the book, okay? But 500 years later, there are still people on Earth, and they live in kind of a primitive way because they hunt beasts, mastodons, okay, who are roaming around the Earth to try and survive, to make a life with it. But they call it megafauna, so they must be absolutely huge. We have the protagonist, which is called August, and he's forced to recognize something about his past. He has this mysterious past because it looked like he's been adopted by this group of hunter-gatherers that we had in the beginning of the description. And something happens that destroys his status quo because he comes in contact with another group of fighters from another distant place, from another settlement. And it looks like they are hostile and that they have to fight. And at the same time, he has to go on a quest to discover something really unique, something really important. While this happens, there are ancient resurrected enemies, and we have all other strange human forces colliding, and all of this huge milieu of things, they will probably determine the future of humanity on the planet in this weird, really compelling setting. How original it is! This is great! It sounds really incredible, and I'll let you know what I think about it as soon as I finish reading it. Fleet of the Forgotten by Thorton. This catched my attention because of the beautiful covers, of course, but also because of the description that looks so effective and so short and sweet to the point, and gives you all the vibes of the setting, of the characters, and of the potential conflict that we have in the story. This is set in a future where you have to be part of a lottery to find a job. And this one, the protagonist, Ryan Anders, he was chosen in this lottery to attend the Fleet Academy to become a pilot. And right when it starts, lucky guy, the Earth gets invaded by bloodthirsty aliens. And if you follow the author on Instagram especially, you'll see he has short videos about the experience, about the vibes and the aesthetics of the books. You'll see that it has a pretty cut and clear aesthetics, that it's around all the big blockbuster adventure science fiction movies that we love. And we have this guy who has I like the attitude that we have just by reading the description. I want to see how it works actually in the book. It says that he learned that the best way to survive is to keep your head down and try to work your as much as you can to get to your goals. And I like that. It's a good attitude generally for life. Usually that's the way you want to be recognized. That's the way you want to work, okay? But just in the fateful day that he starts his service, Earth gets attacked, and he finds the inside incident, I think it's when he finds a derelict spaceship, and he jumps on the spaceship. He wants to help all his colleagues, all his comrades, the other guys, and try to save them during this grueling, really bloody invasion that is destroying everything and all the forces on Earth. He finds a bunch of guys, he escapes, he goes in orbit, but something happens, because the end of the description says that the moment they break out, the plan is gone because they are now cut off, flying blind and forgotten. What happened? I want to know, and I'll absolutely check out the books. And I think that the author is also accepting now requests for ARC readers. So if you want to read the book in advance right now, before of the release day, you can do it. And of course, this is a debut author, so if you want to help him get a little bit of visibility and to spread the words about this book, if this is the kind of book, the kind of characters and aesthetic that it is interesting for you, absolutely give it a try. Let me know what you think about it. You can read it and review it before the release, and let me know what you think about it. Another debut author who's also a pretty popular YouTuber, and I have to admit I knew absolutely nothing about him before YouTube suggested me the video when he was talking about the production of this very book. He is Jazza Brooks, and the book is The Ascendants, a science fiction / dystopian / space opera book. And that video that I watched was so interesting and so endearing, because it is really nice to see someone who's so passionate about the craft, about the ideas, and about the world building that they created. It's pretty long, it's pretty in-depth, and it talks about the inception, the idea, the various stages of the writing process and the production and the artworks and the actual publication of the book. So even if I knew nothing about him at first, he has a fan now. 100% I'm a fan. So this story is about a woman working in a colony, and she's a miner in a colony, and she has to work also because she has a brother who's sick, so she has to pay for all the procedures that he has to face to try and get better, until aliens, life forms that I think they reside in the planet. I don't know if this invasion comes from the outside or if they were indigenous alien form. But anyway, they break into the mine facility, and she has to facility / colony. So it looks like they live underground and they work underground. So they have to escape, trying to go back to the surface to survive the slaughter, because of course it has to be really, really scary and really, really bloody, until they get unexpected help by a group of warriors. They call them the Starborn, I think. And I have heard someone else, and I heard that Paul Totkill, another booktuber, a very, very good booktuber with incredible reviews, who reviewed the book. He says that he has Warhammer 40,000 vibes, because we have these huge fighters and warriors. They're supposed to help the people and the colonists survive, but there's something shady going on. So there's another layer of mystery there. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped about this book. I like the aesthetics that we have on the video. I think it will have artworks in the book itself, because Jazza is an artist, a visual artist, and that's why he has this pretty big YouTube channel and a lot of fans for his job. So yeah, I want to know what the deal is. I want to know how the book is. The review by Paul, it's a very good review, and it's pretty compelling. Looks like it's a very good book, so I can't wait to give it a try. If you have read this, let me know what you think about it. The Scion Conspiracy by Mike Cahoon. Cahoon, I don't know how it's pronounced them. Please, Mike, if you're watching this video, be kind and explain the right pronunciation. This is how we roll in this channel. I like to butcher names and surnames. But this is a epic fantasy, dark fantasy stories about a conspiracy. Go figure, because children are missing in this world. There's a dark conclave of people kidnapping the children for this heinous purpose that it's not exactly explained in the synopsis. I think this is the core of the story. This kind of a mystery to try and understand what is going on. And it looks like this has a huge cast. a multi-POV cast, because the description says that from exalted arcanists to gifted merchants to even criminals to notorious outlaws to hardened conwomen, all of these people, they're involved and they're ensnarled in this web of lies and violence, but they only have pieces of a larger games, okay? So they have to try and understand what it is going on. And the cover has that kind of vibe that makes me think about the second trilogy or third trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, when there's a huge political conflict and at the same time there's a huge mystery down there that has to be solved. So this is pretty intriguing, pretty interesting. If you have read this, let me know what you think about it, and I'll let you know what I think about it as soon as I finish reading it. An epic fantasy series by author N.A. Betts, and that it's called The Fates of Aten. We know of 3 books, 2 out, and another one will be published soon. I don't know if it's a trilogy or we have to expect more, but the first 2 books are titled The Awakening of Storm and Flame. The second is The Last Cry of Innocent. Those 2 are out. Then you have the third one, The Serpent and the Shattered World, who's been announced, but we have a cover reveal pretty soon. I'll be part of the cover reveal, so be sure to check out my other channels, my other socials like Instagram, X, and TikToks, and all the rest. I'll show you the cover with a bunch of other creators and authors and booktubers and all the rest, okay? So let's dive in the description of the first book. So we have a princess called Aelira that is described like someone quiet who just wants, she's just focused on her pursuit for knowledge, and she doesn't want to be on the throne. But something really sad happens when where her kingdom gets invaded by the Illyrian Empire. And on the eve of the invasion, she discovered that she's part of an ancient bloodline of humans that have incredible supernatural abilities. So she has to accept this, and at the same time, escape and survive, and decide how and when to try and fight back against this invasion. But the kicker, what makes this series really interesting for me, is the end of the description that says that they have to resurrect an ancient god to try and use it and to fight against this invasion, which is described as a rebel god. And even worse, even more complicated, it looks like the creator of humans and godlike, he's coming back and he's bringing some kind of a judgment. So yeah, this escalates pretty quickly in the description. So I want to know how the story is managed. I want to see, experience by myself the characters and the world building and the development of this really huge, high stakes story. So if you have read any of the first 2 books, let me know what you think about it, and I'll let you know what I think about them as soon as I finish reading them. Another fantasy trilogy, but this time it has ancient Indian inspiration and aesthetics. Makes it immediately interesting for me, because I think we need more about these kind of voices, but this kind of diverse settings. We don't see enough of those, especially in the US, and I think, and in Europe too. So this is from author Aten. We have 3 books out. The first one is Amok, The Tale of the Hostage Prince, and Absolution. Now, the covers are really great because they have this hand-drawn aesthetics, like painted. I like the brush strokes that are really strong, and the palette of colors, which is kind of muted but also really consistent with this splash of colors in the first book. And it is also pretty kinetic because it has a lot of movements there. It's pretty poetic. And the description is complicated because I don't understand what's going on. I have no idea what's going on in the description of the first book. I'll try to read it together because it's pretty short. And if you understand it and if you want to explain it to me, and if you can explain why I'm so drawn to this book series, even if I don't understand anything about it, please explain it to me. But we have, I think it's the protagonist. Putera Mikal, he wants to gain the Amok strength, okay? This is clear, this is his goal. this guy wants to obtain the Amok strain, which is a supernatural power granted by Kudus, I think it's a god, to the Mahan royal family. So, this guy must be from the royal family. Probably a prince? Probably. But, so he says that no matter how religiously Mikhail keeps his vows, so is he a monk? Or a scholar or some kind, yeah, probably a monk. So this guy, he's trying to keep his vow to get this kind of super strength, okay? But Kudus, probably a god, still denies him the strength. So this god is being prickle about it. Whilst his father, Sultan Simpson, so he has to be a prince, okay? This Sultan Simpson must be the father of Mikhail, okay? Flaunts the strength despite his blatant defiance of the temple and the priest's vision of coming doom. So, we probably have a father who's a king who, or at least he's part of a royal family, of the royal descendancy, who already has this kind of incredible power. He is not using it in the way he is supposed to use it. He is not listening to the priests who are trying to warn him that there's this kind of impending doom, of this huge crisis coming. So he is flaunting his use of the super strength in the wrong way, whilst his son, who seems to be better motivated, cannot get that kind of super strength. And I'm curious, even if I don't understand it, but I want to read it, and I probably would have been able to understand it better by reading the synopsis of the other two books, but I don't want to spoil the experience. I want to find it by myself. Okay, so if you have read anything from this author or this trilogy, let me know what you think about it, and I'll let you know what I think about it as soon as I finish reading it and understanding it. Ghosts of the Scattered Kingdom. This is by author Wade Garret, and it is really cool, I think, because of the unusual way he's mixing science fiction and fantasy, because we have this post-apocalyptic world that regressed to this post-feudalistic society. It says that torchlight is now more common than neon light, okay? And we have this pretty grim protagonist that it's called Arium Black, that after a very difficult mission is coming back to the place where he lives in, but it finds it already being invaded by enemy forces. They're also waiting for him for an ambush, and he has to regroup with another group of friends and loyalists to try and fight back against this invasion. I like the cover, I like the vibes. It looks like a little bit of a Western, a little bit of a Victorian aesthetics. We have an automaton on the back there, behind the protagonist. And I love it. I love the idea of having this kind of mix between different kind of aesthetics and different kind of vibes and lifestyles, and to see how this world became the way it is. So if you have read this, let me know what you think about it. I also wanted to shout out a collection of short stories by author Darran M. Handshaw. This is called Artifacts and Enigmas, and this is, I think it is set in the same world of his two previous books, which are The Engineer and The Dark Heart of Redemption. I've mentioned this book in a couple of in a few different videos months and months ago. This is a science fiction series that has those Indiana Jones vibes, a little bit of slice of life rhythm and in the pacing of the story, and this series of short stories goes and expands on the world building and the characters and the setting alike. So looks really interesting. The cover is beautiful. Go check it out and let me know what you think about it. Also, shout out to Benjamin J. Ryan. I have talked and reviewed his first book, The Beckoning of the Gate, and I know that he's hard at work to publish and release the second book in the series. And I want to shout out this book that I've mentioned in reviews years ago because he's doing a rebrand of the whole series. And I had the pleasure to do the typography. So the fancy writing there, Beckoning of the Gate, and the new name / brand is mine. The illustration is the same one that he had in the first edition of the book. It's beautiful. And if you want to know more about this story, it's about a girl who has a really troubled past. Something really horrific and traumatic happened in her past, but everything changed when she finds a really special key that unlocks a whole new world for her. And I know that the story has been reworked, so I guess the second edition of this one will be better if compared to the first one. So I'm pretty curious to see what changed, okay, in the story. I think that the broad stroke of the plot and the characters are the same, but given the fact that it's been a hot minute, a couple of years since the publication of this one, and with the added knowledge and experience since the publication of the first edition, I think this will definitely be better. And I want to know how it changed, and I want to experience this new version too, and looking forward to the second book. So if you have read this, let me know what you think about it, and I'm looking forward to the second edition and let you know what I think about it as soon as I finish reading it. Just before we end this episode, I wanted to mention that a couple of weeks ago I was interviewed by Erika in her booktube channel Bookish Erika. You'll find a link in the description. It was about the craft, about my books, about my experience as a reader and as an author. It was really, really interesting because she's a great host. She asked me really interesting questions. It was so nice to talk to her. Her channel is really small, but it's growing fast, and it has a couple of really insightful interviews to other authors. So go and give it a try, give her a follow. Absolutely worth it. And also you'll find in the live streams tabs on my channel a live stream and commentary and event about our read-along for the Wars on Light and Shadow by Jenny Worth. I was so lucky to be a host this time discussing this beautiful series by Jenny Worth. The author herself was in the live stream with us, and you can find all the other episodes, the first one, the second and third, on the Talking Story booktube channel, on the Belltube booktube channel, and on the Nerd Lover Rising booktube channel. So go and check them out. This is a good occasion to jump on the bandwagon of the fans for this incredible series. It is beautiful, it is complex, it is deep, it is heart-wrenching. You will barely survive after the end of each and every installation of this series. Jenny Worth is the sweetest woman you can imagine. She is always ready to answer all of your questions. She is incredibly supportive of other authors, and she has this beautiful relationship with her readers. She's always available because you'll have questions, you'll have doubts, and you'll have theories about the book. So go and give them a try. I also have an announcement for you, a pretty exciting one, because on Saturday, September 27, there will be the cover reveal for the sequel to The Crimson Fire, The Sunrise Dagger. It will be on all socials, but it is also the anniversary of 2 years of my booktube channel. So there will be a live stream to celebrate my 2 years of this incredible experience, being a reader, being a YouTuber, and being an author, and to celebrate those 2 years. I think it's a nice way to put a cherry on top to reveal the cover for my next novel. If you follow me on all my social, you will absolutely see the cover before the live stream, okay? But in a couple of days you will have the ability to bookmark the live stream. So if you can, and if you want, and if you have any question, if you want to come along for the live stream, or if you want to watch it later, but if you have any question, just write me, shoot me a message on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, whatever you want, on Blue Sky. Let me know what you think about the book. Let me know what you want to know about the second book. If I can answer you without spoiling the book, I will absolutely do it. We'll celebrate together 2 years on BookTube, and we'll show you the cover for my next novel. This is now absolutely everything I got for you today. Thank you for being patient with me, for bearing with me while waiting for me to adjust my setup and going back to shot and edit and upload videos. Remember that if you enjoy science fiction and fantasy books, this is the perfect place for you. So if you want to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing, leave a like, share this video. You can also support the channel by checking out my own epic fantasy novel, The Crimson Fire. And if you want to see more videos like this right here, right now, you have more videos like this right here, right now. Thank you again. See you in the next one. Bye.